Alright, Chapter 5 Conducting and Completing Fitness Inspection Overview. Um, a special permit is a document issued by the associated administrator of the permitting with the person with the perform function but not otherwise permitted with the hazard material regulation, contingent on an equivalent level of safety determination, approval of written authorization issued by the associated administrator of the person perform the function with which for the prior authorization is required. Fitness inspection conducted regulated with it needs to be applied for the new and modified approval of the special permanent penalty actions do not apply to you. They apply for the renewal of the existing approval of the special permanent fitness recommendation report is generated for all fitness review. The result of the fitness inspection recommendation by attending the investigators or on whether the applicant should be recommended for the fit and unfit to conduct the activity authorized with the special permanent approval. The safety consideration investigators should prepare for on-site fitness inspection same manner as the preparing with the compliance with the inspection safety consideration chapter 2 for this manual detail of the mandatory optional equipment that the investigator shall have them before conducting on-site fitness reviews. Inspection investigators shall review the appropriate section of the chapter 2 information required for the safety equipment fitness review process for the automated reviews. The approval of the permit division PHH 30 performs the automated reviews of the review of the special approval of the application. Receive the application history of the review of the HMIS or HIP with the web-based application provided the integrated information source that identified hazard material safety trends through analysis of the incident of the action. Information provides access for the comprehensive information for the hazard material incident, special permits approval, the compliance history, enforcement actions, other elements supporting the PHMSA regulatory program. The database provided the trigger to identify the regulated entity for the required the safety profile of the review. Fitness determinations are made only after the desktop of the safety profile of the review and the on-site inspection is completed. The automated review screen of the application determined within the 4 years prior to the submitting of the application. The application involved in any of the incidents attributed to the application package where one of the following occurred: a death, an injury, two or more incidents, including involving the 172.504E placarding table 1 hazard material, three or more incidents involved with the ball packaging, 4 the application prior enforcement case refer over the DAAFO with his or her designee, determined insufficient corrective action was taken there, and independent inspection agency noted the items of the cylinder requalifier inspection report. So for those applications who were re-inspected and found to have no violation of the application, 5 of the application of the one cylinder manufacturer requalifier select holder of the PHMSA representative of the department had never been inspected. When necessary, the fitness coordinator signed with the field support division normalized the data of determining the safety profile of the review by contacting the application to determine the number of hazard material shipment of the application hazard material incident ratio of the fitness coordinator that also reviews incident report during the safety profile review, determine any accidents and attributed to the application package if the accidents are associated with the special permit with the incident report containing errors. Safety profile review. Fitness coordinator conduct the safety profile review of the applicant meets one or more of the criteria noted during the automated review of the safety profile review of the witness. The coordinator performed the depth of evaluation application based upon its items of the automated review triggered concern with the application previous 4-year performance and compliance history prior to submission of the application. Information considered during the review included the application history prior to violation, insufficient corrective actions, evidence for the application of the risk of being unable to comply with the terms of application for the existing special permanent approval of the hazard material regulation, and the fitness coordinator determined the application may be unfit to conduct the activities requested in the application. The coordinator will forward the request in supporting the documentation approved of the field or operation regional office to schedule an on-site inspection. If the application is not registered, not referred to the regional office, the on-site inspection. After the safety profile is reviewed completed, but the applicant is determined to be fit with a fitness coordinator will be submitted with a fitness recommendation reporting approval of the permit division. On-site inspection investigator looked over the on-site inspection recommendation of the fitness coordinator. One of the following criteria applicable apply with any of the instances involved with the under automated review of the attributed of the applicant and with the package of the other driver. Error the insufficient and corrective action with the enforcement case for the period of 4 years prior to submitting the application except for the re-inspected with no violations noted. And 2A noted on the cylinder requalifier inspection report except for the re-inspection with no violations noted. 4 insufficient corrective action enforcement case for the period of 4 years prior to submitting the application except for the re-inspected with no violation. 5 the number 2A noted with the cylinder requalifier inspector report with except for the re-inspected with no violation and show for the triggers and for the safety profile of the data review, death and injury, and 172.504 table 1 placard and 2 or more incidents bulk and 3 or more incidents of the trigger on-site inspection an incident with the attributed to the application package note not driver error, 2 or more prior enforcement case referrals, insufficient corrective action, any enforcement case or independent inspection agencies, IAA, or except for the preliminary inspection with no violations noted. One of the regionals notified the fitness coordinator of the need for the on-site with the inspection attending the investigator should evaluate the applicant overall for the operation, including the special focus of the practice of the procedure that will be authorized for the request of special permanent approval, determine the applicability level of safety regarding the operation of the request of the special permanent approval, including the risk assessment works for the best case scenarios and internal quality control measures for the security policies and procedures, employee training and certification, determining the alternative operating practice that would enable the company to operate within the existing regulatory requirements instead of issuing a permanent approval to document fitness of the CMS, on-site inspection and internal product of the PHMSA, limited reach over the conduct of the fitness of the inspection. Foreign companies applying with a special permanent approval to do the highest cost of the training of the investigator manpower. However, the ever company requested the approval to give the authority for the manufacturer requalified with the data and specific cylinder for the UN pressure receptacle for the requirement of the 178 and 180 of the IAW. Title 49 must undergo the on-site fitness inspection prior to the issuing the suggestion of authority. Currently, fitness check that is now mandatory for the initial request of the renewal is concerned with the special permanent approval of the authorized PHMSA. Ensure the continuity of the engine, all foreign companies of the manufacturer requalifying with the data specific cylinder UN pressure receptacle will all contain 5-year expiration date. Our internal on-site inspection cylinder requalifier manufacturers of the independent inspection agencies may, based on the criteria listed within the charter below, the forfeit of the process of the internal trip, of the planning and scheduled trip, of the post-trip, of the planning of the foreign trip, the number of the inspection located with the ability to determine prior to the start of the first year, of the base on the project workload, manpower capabilities, fellowship of the support region will determine the number of the project of the region and responsible for forecasting the trip date for the assigning investigators inspections based on the following chart of the risk category to determine the inspection to be conducted for the year. And then shows a chart and has some footnotes, and then it goes definition, problem, priority, relating. Priority 1, these entities have been reviewed to determine the highest risk of the safety concerns. 2, priority 2, the entities have been reviewed to determine the significant risk for the safety concerns. Priority 3, review to determine the medium risk for the safety concern of the category include. 4, these entities have been determined for the moderate risk for the safety concern of this category includes. Priority 5, the entities have reviewed determined low risk of safety concern with the department approval to on an annual travel plan with the developed inspection signed with the investigator with the regional chief, with include with the 10 of the day for the field operation and provide with the travel plan PHG1 ensure with the travel plan consistent with the agency's and the department problematic goals of U.S. foreign and trade policy object with the plan submitted with the department and secretary, assistant secretary, aviation, internal affairs with the final approval. Field operation coordination, planning coordinating with the trips of the split with between the region of the field service support division, field service support division will determine the visa of the requirements of the visas of the passports, submit with the country clearance for the officer of the administrator of the track, the funding of the trip of the regional officer for the contact with the company with the field inspection notification letter, provide with the details itinerary complete with the country with the clearance form with the plan with the trip with the contracted travel with the agency with the visa of the form with the complete with the investigator of the regions may also be required to obtain invitation letter with the company of the visa. Foreign inspection notification letter sent with the both requalifiers manufacturers have with the form and have with each of the letters different, but the manufacturer required for the pay with the inspection must for the deposit of the funds prior to the fitness trip of the cost for the trip of the requalifiers paid with the agency. To begin with the fitness notification of the manufacturer obtained with the cost of the trip of the airline cost may be obtained with the calling of the contractor travel agent and with the per diem rate located at the U.S. Department of website at the following link. Once of the cost of the basic logistics determined with the FI, the fitness notification letter of the creative of the administrative design with the regional chief of the fitness and notification letter is emailed to the company program of the manager field support division and administrative of the next step of the manufacturer provide with the company with the 2 forms of the WBN 8 and the banking form of the provide with the field service division with the administrative of the form and with the track of the payment with the trip of the return the unused funds. Alright, once the trip is approved with the deputy secretary of the field support of the division will determine the fee with the passport for the travel, the performance field service with the support division will provide the regional administrator with the notification with the visa of the required the visa form and issue with the travel to provide the field service with the support division administrator 6 days before the travel. Travel must provide with the complete application for the passport for photos investigator with the coordinator with the company to ensure with the dates, the location, hotel, the suggestion, transportation, fact, the travel to require with the complete with the country clearance within the form of the 30 day of the trip. The form is provided with the field support division administrator for the process of the track for the country clearance is made with the executive office of the PHMSA, PHA. It's 3 coordinated with the U.S. State Department investigator required to provide a detailed itinerary with the in-country phone number. The internal travel of the GS-15 2-week trip. The memorandum must be sent with the OST with the office of secretary. OST with the deputy chief of the staff for the approval of the trip over the 8 days. All of the GS-15 travel the memos provide with the field service support division cylinder program 75 days days prior to the trip of the sign with the memo, but must be loaded with the E2 prior to the ticketing. The flight with approved 3-month outlook for the upload with the E2 prior to ticketing. Completing the trip. Once the trip is completed, the traveler will provide the field support division with the administrator with a copy of the voucher complete with the WBN8 with the foreign bank form. If the name of the company did not complete with the prior to the trip, the cost of the trip will reconcile with the field support division. Administrator with the memo will provide with the FAA finance for the return of the unused forms. And then it goes over some links and important phone requests would be provide the following information with the John Williams employee name, the routine symbol, the travel location, travel start name, the travel end name. Request the laptop with the BlackBerry phone email account, or request BlackBerry phone in reference to the email account with internal travel iPhone, BlackBerry with the two options are below. One option for the primary email account with you have with the travel iPhone with the BlackBerry set with your existing email with account with the enable you with the continue with the receive of the email as usual with this option in emails with the current device will not be interrupted with the receive of the emails on both devices. Option 2 generic travel account with you have with the travel the BlackBerry set with the generic account your first name and the last name travel.gov. Options will have to not receive any other than your daily email because of the temp of the email address. If you have the question, John Mills can be reached at 202-366-4349. Alright, fitness recommendation report to domestic and international with the investigator determine the applicant needs for the requirement of the hazard material regulation, equivalent level of safety comes in with the detail of the required the safety level that are unable to comply with the hazard material regulation, unable to comply with the terms of their application for the investigator will approve of the supervisor of the recommendation applicable for the unfit of the fitness recommendation report. The application currently holds the approval of the special permit. Investigator will identify the violation for such erroneous arrogance and the regulated, but the entity no longer allowed to hold the existing approval of the special permit. Investigators approval of the supervisor for the complete with the submit of the fitness recommendation memo with the field support upon completion of the site visit. After the completion, all required tests. The required test result may take several months to receive. The report shall provide the following brief design absent of the company overall operation information result of the initiation field inspection summary investigator fitness for recommendation fit and unfit field support review of the fitness for recommendation report forwarded to the OHMSPA for final disposition. Chapter 6 opening packages and issuing warnings. Testing.